of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we have proclamations. Irene Campbell, Volunteer of the Year for Monmouth County.
Yes, Monmouth County's Volunteer of the Year is Irene Campbell, and this is in recognition for her dedication and service working with the Municipal Alliance. Whereas the entire Borough of Highlands community can affect positive change with any volunteer action, no matter how big or small, and whereas Irene Campbell has served the Borough of Highlands community well over 22 years in various volunteer capacities, from being a Highlands Elementary School Board of Education member, a Municipal Alliance member, and a Free Little Library steward. Whereas Highlands Elementary School member since 2000, Irene has worked on policy and programs for students to ensure that our schools run smoothly. And whereas a volunteer for the Municipal Alliance since 2007, Irene was readily available whenever and wherever there was a need for the Municipal Alliance program or event. And whereas as the Free Little Library steward, she has collaborated with other stewards to ensure that our 4 Free Little Libraries in Highlands were well stocked with books for both children and adults. And whereas her years of service have been marked by exemplary dedication to the best interests of this community and all of its residents, and now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Highlands to hereby recognize Irene Campbell for her volunteer work for the Borough of Highlands.
Thank you very much. Really, it sounds so beautiful.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody for all their help in the community's Thanksgiving dinner. Everybody that volunteered, Borough for buying the turkeys, everybody, it was a wonderful event. We had extra food. We fed the food pantry and gave turkeys to everybody. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Next, we have approval of minutes for November 9th, 2022, meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilmember Salvantes.
Yes.
Councilmember Chalak.
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick.
Yes.
Council President Chesky. Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve November 9th, 2022 meeting minutes. Next, we have introduction of proposed ordinances. First, we have O-2224, authorizing the sale of Block 47, Lot 10 in the Borough of Highlands, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, at auction pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-1 et seq.
Just before we make any motions here, this lot of property has been owned by the borough resulting from a tax lien since 2001. So because it is a buildable lot, we have to do this ordinance, and after the ordinance is done, then it will go up for an online auction. And it's the that grassy bit of property in between Gianna's and Marks on Bay Avenue. And with that, I will make this motion.
I will second.
Councilmember Cervantes.
Yes.
Councilmember Chalak.
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick.
Yes.
Council President Chesky.
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance O-2224 on first reading, with a public hearing to be held on December 21st, 2022. Next, we have O-2225, amending Chapter 2, Administration, Section 6, the Administrator of the Code of the Borough of Highlands related to the terms of office of the Borough Administrator.
No, this is really just a bit of housekeeping. Back many years ago, when we would have the mayor would be voted in by the rest of the council, so there was a different mayor every year, or not, depending on what the flavor of the council was. So the administrator's term of office was a 2-year term to ensure some sort of connectivity and continuity. So what we're doing here is we are aligning the term of office of the administrator to that of the 3-year term of the mayor. And with that, I'll offer this as well.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Cervantes?
Yes.
Councilmember Tolet?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance O-2225 on first reading with a public hearing to be held on December 21st, 2022. Next, we have O-2226, granting renewal of municipal consent to Comcast of Monmouth County LLC to construct, connect, operate, and maintain cable television and communication systems in the municipality of Highlands, Monmouth County, New Jersey.
This is a cable franchise agreement. It was sort of de facto given, we awarded to Comcast, as Comcast was the only cable provider that answered the RFP. Built in within it are certain things such as reduced fees for the folks at Patak and Jenny Parker, a couple of free drops for the borough, so that we're not charged for internet over at, I believe it's the firehouse and the municipal building. And this is a contract that's been laying around since 2019, and it's finally gone through all of the Board of Public Utilities and the folks on the state side, and so we're just finally cleaning that up with this ordinance. And with it, I will offer that.
Just before, there was some additional documentation associated to it. First of all, there were 2 items that the state came back with in terms of the language, one being the free drops for the schools and then the other for franchise.
It was just clarifying that those would be free of charge, which was not explicitly stated, but it was always understood to be the case. And then the slight update to the corporate name in the prior section, those have been incorporated and they are in this version of the ordinance.
Okay, great. Thanks.
May I have a second?
I will second.
Councilmember Cervantes?
Yes.
Councilmember Tolet?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to pass ordinance O-2226 on first hearing with a public hearing to be held on December 21st, 2022. Next, we have public hearing of proposed ordinances O-2223, amending Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 3.3, Snow Removal of the Code of the Borough of Highlands relating to parking during snowfall.
I'll open this up for any questions from the public. This is regarding the intersection of Oak Street and Chestnut Street to have no parking there when it is snow covered. If anyone has any questions regarding this ordinance. Seeing none, I will close public portion. Does anyone from the table have anything they would like to add regarding this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, I will offer it.
Councilmember Cervantes?
Yes.
Councilmember Tolet?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance O-2223 passed on second and final reading. Next, we have resolutions R-22-238, authorizing payment of bills.
I will offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Cervantes? Councilmember Tolet?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Chesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution R-2223. Next, we have consent agenda. Mayor, would you like me to read the resolutions by title?
Yes, please.
R-2239, authorizing the execution of a shared services agreement between the Borough of Highlands and Borough of Atlantic Highlands for basic life support response. R-2240, authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for professional estimating validation services between the Borough of Highlands and T&M Associates. R-22-241, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the roadway and drainage improvements to Linden Ave, Waterwich Ave, Bay Ave, and Jones Creek, length equal 2,250 LF project. R22-242, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the roadway and drainage improvements to Linden Ave, Waterwich Ave, Bay Ave, and Jones Creek, length equal 2,250 LF project. R22-243, authorizing refund of tax overpayments. R22-244, authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for professional engineering services relating to the dredging of Jones Creek, including topographic survey and acquisition of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, NJDEP individual permit IP, to remove said materials. R22-245, authorizing submission of a strategic plan for the Highlands and Atlantic Highlands Municipal Alliance Grant for fiscal year 224 for the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse fiscal grant cycle July 2020 to June 2025. R22-246, authorizing submission of an application for DMHA Youth Leadership Grants. R22-247, providing for the transfer of surplus funds. R22-248, property tax cancellation and refund. R22-249, authorizing the refund of a certified copy fee. R22-250, authorizing to execute a contract with Draeger Inc. for the purchase of an Alcotest 9510 test system through the Drunk Driving Enforcement Fund grant at a cost not to exceed $19,305. R22-251, authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for professional emergency medical services between the Borough of Highlands and JFK Medical Center for EMS services.
I'll offer the consent agenda.
I'll second. Councilmember Cervantes.
Yes.
Councilmember Black. Yes. Councilmember Melnick.
Yes.
Council President Chesky. Yes. Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolutions R22-239 through R22-251. Next, we have reports. Mayor?
Sure, I will start with mine. The municipal building, as many of you may have noticed, it is very near to be enclosed, and the veneer block is going up. Window installation will be happening soon, and all of the other interior work will be ongoing through the wintertime. South Bay and Hillside Avenue, that project was completed on November 7th. The Twin Lights Gabion installation, that's Twin Lights Terrace. It's a little paper street that's behind Twin Lights Terrace. That work started on 11/30 and was actually completed on December 5th. So that was done very quickly, and the homeowners are very happy, as it's going to help reduce runoff from drainage when it rains. Snug Harbor Park, just outside here, you'll see that the jungle gym is in, and the court should be completed before the end of the year. And picnic tables are on back order, so we're hoping to get those delivered sometime in January. For the Marine Place elevated walkway, work started on October 5, and they were substantially complete on November 7th. On that one, we are waiting, which are on back order, both railings and trash bins. So if you're wondering why the benches are facing into the homes instead of looking out onto the water, it's because there's no railing, so we don't want people to be on the bench and fall over and have bad things. So once those railings are installed, we're going to flip the benches so you can look at it for Gertrude Adderley Park update. Work is starting this month. Everyone's very excited about that. Also, here at Snug Harbor, the skate park, the application was finally approved by both CAFRA and by Green Acres, and work should be starting in January. So as soon as this little section wraps up, we're going to be jumping over to the skate park section. The large I-Bank sanitary sewer project for the Waterwich area is due to start in February. And starting in this order, Central Ave, then Ocean, then Beach Boulevard, Gravelly Point, William Street, Ralph Street, North Street, Waterwich, and then Linden and Bay. So we're going to see a lot of construction, but the good thing is we're going to be able to do a lot of this during the winter, so we can hopefully be wrapped up June-ish. All weather dependent, of course. Jones Creek dredging, we're submitting a CAPRA permit. That's getting submitted this month. The EV charging station at the former Borough Hall site, there's actually going to be a site visit tomorrow by the engineering staff. And they've already ordered the charging station itself, and we will have it installed before May of '23. And the last thing is that Portland Road guardrail that we're waiting on the county, so Lord only knows how long we'll be waiting for that. Other things that are planned for the coming year is the update to Frank Hall Park, which is an open space Lions Club Green Team collaboration. We also thankfully got services volunteered by a local landscape architect to help us out gratis, to help us with what would be appropriate flora to put into the park, what things to take out of the park. There's a lot of English ivy, which can most times mean rats, which nobody wants rats. So a lot of scrub trees are there also. So we want to be looking towards a more holistic approach to the fauna in the borough so that it's more helpful, it's more resilient, and it's not just pretty, but it does its job to make us more resilient. Other upcoming projects are the creation of Overlook Park, which is that empty lot on 36 that's been empty for quite some time. The Marine Place elevated walkway on the east side, which is on the Seadrift side. CME submitted a Monmouth County Open Space grant for that project, so hopefully we'll be hearing about that in the spring. And the 2021 Resiliency Plan, we did receive a grant for design and engineering for the living shoreline and bulkhead at Veterans Park. And we are also working on funding for the Snug Harbor pump and surrounding area. In fact, 2 of the resolutions that we just talked about, those highway grants, those DOT grants, were also to help in that project. That's the one that we also submitted. BRIC, which is the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, and that is well over a $15 million grant application that would help solve the flooding downtown caused by Monmouth Hills, as well as getting the pump station over here at Jones Creek. Regionalization update. The attorneys in the towns have all agreed on a mediator. We're just waiting for the school boards. Grant funding update, we just, I know this is supposed to be November's report, but we just got word of it yesterday. We just got another $37,000 in a grant from the American Rescue Fund, and that was to rehab our SCBA equipment. It's the tanks, the oxygen tanks for the fire department. So those haven't been updated in quite some time, so we're very eager and happily pleased to have received that $37,000. So far this year, our total in grants awarded is $808,518. A quick update on entering the CRS program for lower flood insurance, and that's we're waiting for the Region 2 Floodplain Management and Insurance Branch to complete a compliance audit. We were told that it's not going to happen in this year, as this year is coming to a close, but no date has yet been given to us for when this will happen, and hopefully it will be in 2023. So sooner we get that, it's just more cogs in the wheel of the hoops that we have to jump in order to get into this program. Another thing that we've been told that we need to do is get into an information sharing access agreement with FEMA to gain access to all of their records for non-compliant structures. And this could be structures that have not been lifted, or it could be structures that have had repetitive loss. So in order for us to get into that system, we need to go into the shared service agreement, and CME has been working with FEMA to get this step accomplished. And that's my November report. Does anyone have anything else they would like to add? Come on, Mike?
Pretty much the only, that was comprehensive, so the only other thing I have to add for tonight, and it's on for your approval, with the JFK EMS ambulance, no increase this year, same conditions as last year. Half of it's going to be paid by Atlantic Highlands, and we'll take up the other half.
Just in case anyone's not aware that we have this service with JFK Ambulance, because it's always hard to get volunteers to cover the day shifts here in the town. So we have them covering the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. shift. And we pay for that service, and now Atlantic has been doing this with us, so it helps our costs, and it helps Atlantic, and it helps Highlands. At the end.
Just
Go ahead.
furthering the comment about Frank Hall Park,
Yep.
that collaboration between Open Space, Green Team, and Lions Club, just noting that the Lions Club has raised about $4,000 towards the construction of that bocce court that we had planned there. And so I think that what we're looking for, or what I think would make sense is, if we adopt a resolution like we had for the skate park and the Borough Hall, for the ability to have direct contributions to that park, so that those funds just get earmarked for that purpose and that purpose alone from the Lions Club.
We might have something set up for parks already, but we'll check with Pat de Blasio tomorrow and see if we need to do something separate, or if it needs like a separate dedicated fund, or if we could use the current funds that we have.
Great. So I know that there was that whole notion of a bocce court with that adaptive for those with seeing impairments.
Yes.
I think it would make it a little bit
Brilliant.
easier for first of all, purpose-built for the Lions Club's mission of sight there, and of course Frank Hall being our former mayor who was also blind, what a great tribute there. Just also, just statement on communication with our meeting yesterday, and just a committee notion in general. Looking for volunteers. We're seeing some flagging attendance in certain meetings. We did put out an open call for volunteers, knowing that people's schedule changed, obligations changed, people are going back to work in some cases, and so being on the committee might not be able to be in everybody's calendar anymore. So if folks have time, there is the ability to go ahead and apply for the citizen leadership positions. There is probably space on just about every committee we have available right now. So if anybody's interested, go out into the website and submit your leadership form today, and we'll gladly take your time, whatever you can offer. This is volunteerism, not compulsory, and we all want to make sure that these are committees that are beyond just one individual. We don't want these things to be just hanging on one person's shoulder. It's never about any individual, it's about the process. So those are two things about committees. Just one last point too, and I can see Mr. Gonzalez is here, so just taking a point from the last meeting, bringing up the point about some of the overflowing waste bins and wondering if we could do something other than increase the pickup of the garbage, just seeing if there's anything on the books already that could be helpful. It looks like we do have some things on the books, 3-1.8, about the open and overflowing waste disposal bins. It's unlawful for any resident or commercial property to have open or overflowing waste disposal bins on their property. So, if we here at Twin Lakes Terraces, me included, have a property that has overflowing waste bins, we should ask our property management to take care of that. We pay a good amount of money in fees. There is an open recycling yard that our folks could take that down to in their pickup truck, as opposed to passing that on to all the residents. So just thinking, rather than passing that cost on to every resident in Highlands, if we in Twin Lakes have a problem, maybe we need to ask our own management company to take a look into that first before we ask the borough to ask the rest of the taxpayers to take it on for ourselves. And if not, and if we are not able to get that done, and if we do continue to have these overflowing waste bins, I think it would be upon the code enforcement to appropriately fine us and pass that cost on to us. We're no better than anybody else. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. That's all I have.
Karen, you have something?
Just an update about Shadow Lawn. I had a discussion today with Mr. Basillo. The code enforcer has issued over 70 violations they're really hitting him hard. I also talked to the Chief Burton, and he said it's a real serious problem. So we're trying to get the owner to comply because there are people that are squatting there. It's open for drug use, drug selling, all kinds of stuff. It's a hazard. So I was pleased to find out that over 70 violations have been passed to the owner of it, and hopefully we will get him to start to comply and clean that site up. And Shadow Lawn, this is up,
The trailer park on
trailer
36?
park is up there near East Point. I mean, there's a potential for a fire would be terrible. The septic system is feral cats, and there are squatters there. Yes.
It's also one of the villages behind my house. It's definitely a habitat for animals, rats, squirrels, possums, foxes. They come over into our yard and then parents space.
Okay, well, we'll look into that.
All right, does anyone else at the table have anything before we go to? Yes.
Mayor, you touched on most of the engineering items. I just wanted to add a couple more grant programs. DOT municipal aid, the borough was awarded a little shy of $247,000 from DOT for work on Bayside Drive and Marie Avenue. And then the other item is through the United States Department of Transportation. They have a new grant program, Safe Streets for All. So we have been working with the county, with Monmouth County, to develop a plan. It's 2 phases. So the first phase, which we are in now, would be to ask for money to come up with an action plan of how to improve safety for pedestrians and vehicles on any problem spots throughout town. Once that study is conducted, another phase would be to ask for construction money. So that application, the county is taking the lead on that. They've submitted that application.
And would these need to be done on county roads?
They do not, no.
Okay.
Public portion.
We're going to start public portion in a moment.
Individuals wishing to address the council may be recognized by the presiding officer and shall give their name, address, and the group, if any, they represent. Although the council encourages public participation and reserves the right, through its presiding officer, to terminate remarks to and/or by any individual not in keeping with the conduct of a proper and efficient meeting. If any individual refuses to conduct themselves in a proper manner, they will be removed from the meeting. The council will not, during the public portion of this meeting, discuss matters involving appointments, termination of employments, negotiations, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of performance of, promotion or discipline of any specific or prospective or current employee. There is a 3-minute time limit for your comments. Please step to the podium.
I'll go first. Based on the last...
Sorry, name and address, sir?
No, I'm sorry, Anthony Gonzalez, a representative for Twin Lights, F6 Hillside Court. This is regarding I'm new to this topic, and I haven't had a personal experience with it, but EMS, calling for EMS has been a problem, from what I'm understanding. We've got a procedure that's posted on our website that's quite confusing. You know, if we have an issue with a member of the family having a health issue, we got to call 911. They ask what your address is. F6 Hillside Court, Highlands, New Jersey. Well, that, I'm told, does not work. It's a problem with the county. They don't know where we are. When we do a Google Maps or an Apple Maps, you type in G11, Twin Lights Terrace or Twin Lights Court, our maps go right there. There's been some situations where EMS could not find, and I'm using the address as an example, G10, because it's the area of Twin Lights behind the Hudson High School. And that has been reported as an issue about nobody knowing where that is in the county system. So I was asked to bring this to the board's attention. I've got our instructions here I'd like to share with you, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Okay, so this is what we're required to address as, when we're in an emergency, here's what we have to say.
And these are,
This is from your
these are
association.
our association.
That's right. But this is the instructions, and it's quite nerve-wracking, to, you gotta refer to that. So this is just to give you an example.
And Mr. Gonzalez, you probably have also experienced the Bermuda Triangle effect of Twin Lights Terrace, where you can drive up there and your GPS signal will get completely lost.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was brought up too, that's an infrastructure problem of the country.
I agree. No, well, it's pretty particular to that
Yeah.
area of Highland.
And that's, we got that infrastructure bill passed, so hopefully, fortunately, a previous owner had a Verizon pole installed, which has helped all of us residents, in the community. What that means, I don't know, the state apparently is flush with cash. Let's get every EMS person, a GPS system that is reliable. We had a recent passing in one of our buildings, and, why couldn't they get there quicker to save her life, We don't, there's nothing being accusatory at all, but it raises an eyebrow. So, we're a pretty big taxpayer in the town, so we just wanted to bring that up. I shared the agenda with the community page, and this was one of the things that were brought up, and I think it's pretty important. So that said, thank you for the attention on that. I don't really have I guess I'll continue to follow up, but I don't, I'm new to this. So, one other thing, Twin Lights had a community event for Friendsgiving, and we raised about I'm told $680, and we donated that money to OLPH and their food drive there. Quite a bit of money. Not here to brag, but where else can we do that? As we continue to have these events, because we plan to do so, or any ideas of where else, we just don't want to give everything to OLPH, right? Let's spread the wealth. Any ideas with that? Maybe next month or in February, we can, you can, anything in town that we could help out with in our future. And none of these events are currently planned. It's just, we were surprised ourselves to raise that kind of money. And it helps people. Where else can we help? That's all I have.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Hi, my name is Aisha Prakash. I live on 88-6 Portland Road. We've been in this house since August of 2020. So it's about 2 years now. Within the first week of moving into the home, there was a serious storm that took place. That's when we realized there was a lot of stormwater issues that were not disclosed to us by the builder. The builder's name is Charlie Farouk, Home and Land Development. He's actually also a person that lives in this town and also a neighbor of ours. And I have videos here, it's about 3 minutes. I'm going to hopefully get a chance to show them later so you can see the significant damage that's happening to our property. So the problem is the stormwater comes down the hill and destroys our land as well as some of the neighbors as well. So not only did this unethical builder withhold this crucial information from us, pertinent that would actually impact the value of the home in the negotiations, that's what I'm guessing, but again, I don't know, but, the town had to approve this land at some point, right, for you to build on it. So I don't know if he also misled you guys too. And for example, this picture right here is of a basin, a full basin. And we're calling it a full basin because imagine if someone built a door behind the wall and told you that door, when you open it, there's an exit out of that door. Well, they built the door, and there's no way, there's no pipes or anything that can go and take the water off. It's just a fake, basically a door behind the wall. So somehow someone in the town approved this. And I don't know if they were all misled, but we certainly were. In fact, we continue to ask neighbors all around us, and they continue to tell us that, the problem for the stormwater clearly has been around for a long time, as you guys are fixing some of the areas. And number two, this builder, who's our neighbor, continues to patch it up as this erosion happens, to prevent people from seeing what the real problem is. It's damage to property, guys. We've been there for 2 years. We've not been able to use our land properly. We spent tens of thousands of dollars installing temporary measures just to, eradicate this little, temporary problem. So basically, we're just putting Band-Aid on it right now. And, we're asking the town for a few things. One, I see you guys are fixing a lot of those problems around town. We'd like to be added to the list and prioritized for 2 reasons. A, this has cost us tens of thousands of dollars. We want to work with the town. We want to be here. We pay a lot in taxes. Help us fix this problem. And the other thing is, we shouldn't be liable for the stormwater issue. We have, been pursued for some things that we've been asked to fix by the state and the town. We think the builder should be asked that. Like, why didn't someone ask the builder? He owned the home, the house was sitting empty, and they didn't let him build on the land. I want to play this for you guys, because I don't know if anyone's seen it. I know, Michael, you have, and I know you have as well. But this is a really serious issue. And, so this is a flow basin, the water adds up, but more than that, I don't know if you guys can see it. It's hard to see.
Oh, we're bringing it closer to the...
So this is what's happening whenever it rains. And it's destroying my home. You guys can see it. And I'm going to actually show you guys a better one. This is a week into us moving in. This is a week into us moving in 2 years ago. We figured this out. And my partner, he's such a nice guy. He's been built up being our neighbor. He's been like, oh, do this, do that. But it took me to take over to realize, wait a minute. Let's back up for a second. How is this approved, number one? Who approved this, number one? Two, why are we liable for all of this damage when it should have been the prior people on the land, not us? And it's completely, we can't even, my daughter went out there just walking around, she fell in a hole, and she hurt her leg from it. We can't enjoy our backyard. We're spending tens of thousands of dollars. So we're asking for A, as you guys are getting this funding, you guys prioritize us in some capacity because it's damaging our home, and it's not fair to us and our neighbors. And B, put some temporary measures in place, and C, investigate the situation, who approved this and why, and then also, how can someone do this unethical behavior and get away with it? I'm sorry, I'm being very rude.
No, you're not being ruthless.
I want to cry just talking about it. It's been so frustrating for the last 2 years. So, those are the things that,
I really think we need to address, and the fact that it's undermining the house, and yeah, that's it. Is this where I ask a question, or just kind of make a statement? It's my first time doing it.
You can do either one.
Okay, so my question...
Do both.
Okay, so, based on what I've shared, it sounds like some people are nodding. Maybe you've heard about this, because I've been very vocal about this, and recently Michael as well. I'm asking for help here, guys. This is not fair what happened to us. This is not fair what happened to us, and sorry. Please speak in the... Oh, I'm here, okay, sorry. So I'm asking for help here, and I'd like to know what the town can do, and Carolyn, we would really appreciate if this can be prioritized. This is a serious issue.
Go right ahead.
We had a meeting with the engineers and with the attorney about a week ago, I believe it was. And we asked for all of the information. It was a prior engineering firm that was in charge of this.
Yep.
So all the information, I believe Andy's still waiting on one or two things. So we are looking the legal route for the developer.
Great.
I don't have an answer for that for you yet. I spoke with Bennett earlier, not Drew, and Ben I said, is there any kind of temporary fix we can do for now? I guess you guys spoke about maybe like a possible, raising the curbing or something to keep the water flowing so it doesn't go onto your property.
Then the other problem is this fake basin, this fake door, as I mentioned, it's not even on the plan. So that's the other thing. How was this built, even a fake one, and never put on a plan? So there's something really weird stuff going on here, guys. I'm not trying to highlight it. I just want this problem fixed, and I want this builder stuff addressed, because that's not cool.
That's what we're trying to do. That's what the attorney's looking into.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys.
Can you send me those videos?
Please.
Thank you.
I guess it's just part of the meeting that we ask questions?
Sure, if you could just give your name and address.
Sure, it's Rob Hanna, 239 Shore Drive. And my wife and I learned just about a week ago that the town was thinking about a marijuana or pot dispensary, so I may be coming in a little late. I just want to know a little bit more about your thinking in that. Because, when you go by Port Monmouth, I guess it is, on Newtown, on Route 35, there's continual lines at the strip mall there. When it first opened up, there's a lot of traffic. And I just wanted to find out a little bit more about what the council's thinking is here. And will there be a vote? There's 4,000 people in this town. And I wanted to see if this was going to be put to vote so the majority of people can, vote on such a measure. I have grandkids, and I can't imagine walking in town and trying to explain to him the lines, the traffic. And I'm just wondering about the impact that might have on some of the other businesses like Fresh or Porcini's. I learned the other day that the dispensary might be open Monday through Friday, or maybe Saturday at 7 o'clock in the evening. If somebody's going over to Fresh or a nice restaurant, what effect will that have? People buying their pot in town? Personally, I have nothing against pot. I would like to see it up on 36 or someplace away from the center of town. So, I came tonight just to learn more about what the council's thinking is. Anyone want to talk about that?
Okay, well, the vote on this happened in 2021. I thought it was 2020, but it was actually 2021. And the thinking was that it could either be, there's two zones where it can possibly go, and that's the commercial business district or the highway-oriented district, which is where Bars Real Estate is, that little area is up on the...
I know where Bars is.
No. Bars Real Estate.
Oh, Real Estate, yeah, okay, yeah, no.
Linden at the very top.
Yeah, Linden.
So those are the two areas where it might be.
Okay.
We only approved one license or the ability to have one license.
Okay.
We do not approve licenses, the state approves licenses. So folks can say, I know there's land use tomorrow, and there's two applicants that are going to be there tomorrow, and if you would like, I would urge you actually to come to tomorrow's meeting of the Land Use Board and see what those guys are going to say, guys and gals. What else can I tell you about it? There is a...
So you're not thinking about putting a dispensary in the center of town?
It's not, absolutely, it can be there, is what I'm trying to say.
It can
be on Bay Avenue, and it can also be on 36, right next to that area where Bars Realty is, but it cannot be 1,000 feet from the school.
Okay. I have just a very general question, just while we're discussing this. My recollection and my wife's recollection is we voted for the passage of legalized pot or marijuana in the state. I never remember voting on an ordinance or a policy where I bring it into my own town. There was
no referendum on that. The referendum for legalizing cannabis?
Yeah.
I voted?
Yeah, I voted for that, yeah. I voted for
was
it.
overwhelmingly, it was higher than the state average. I believe the state average was about 73%.
Yeah, but there was no vote for a dispensary in individual towns.
That is correct.
Each individual town had the option,
Exactly.
the governing body, each individual town across the state had the option to make that choice. And having a line...
Who's the governing body?
Excuse me, having a line out in front of an establishment doesn't necessarily make it bad. I think if that were true, you'd shut down every Popeyes from here to I don't even know where. Like, having a line doesn't mean the product that the place is selling is a bad thing. So I don't understand for having a legal product that has a demand is making it difficult to explain to a child. Like that, I don't understand how A plus.
Well, let me digress a little bit. What I'm mostly concerned about when I see the lines is the traffic coming into town.
So you have an issue with traffic?
Traffic, yes. Yeah, well, not with the product. I have an issue with the traffic. Where is everybody gonna park?
So if we had a banner day down at Bars Landing,
Yeah.
that traffic would be problematic?
I don't know. I don't see
Really?
it, I don't see it as a problem the way you just described it. What I'm suggesting is every day, if 50 new people are coming into town, that's not problematic for traffic and parking?
I think that's what's part of any tourist destination, where you'll have 50 new people coming into town on any given day. That's what happens.
Yeah, but these are not people who are gonna be tourists, who are gonna come to our restaurants and things like that. They're gonna buy their product and they're gonna leave.
How can you possibly know that?
How can you know anybody's full intent when they're...
Well, I don't. I'm surmising or guessing. Okay, I'm guessing.
Okay, so that's...
I'm thinking the majority of people are gonna come to town, they're gonna buy their product, they're gonna leave.
So the intent of this council was to say, here's a legal product that can bring revenue into town that has not been proven to increase crime, that absolutely has been supported by the vast majority of voters in terms of whether or not this should be something that should be made available to adults, which is one of the most regulated.
No, I'm not having any issues with that. What I have an issue with is if we put it in the center of town, we have 4,000 residents here. Do 2,200 people approve of that? In other words, do the majority of the people...
I don't think you can get 2,200 people.
Do the majority of the people in town want a dispensary in town?
I don't think they would want 2,200 people who want bars in town. I don't think 2,200 people who want cigarettes in town. You'll have disagreement on any particular...
Well, I disagree with you. I think this is something different than a restaurant.
It is.
And I think that you should have more people I think you should have a vote for the residents and see what they say.
That is
absolutely
your opinion.
I don't know where everybody lives that's on the council. How many people in the council live in town?
Every one of us.
Everyone has to.
When you say in town, you said Twin
Lights Terrace.
Yeah, that's up a bite off the hook.
It is.
That's not the center of town. How many people in part of the council live in the center of town?
Well, the mayor for sure.
I guess that would be me.
Yeah, you do. Who else? Anybody? I live on Shore Drive. I enjoy.
Restaurant is right on. We all live here. We have to live here. It's.
Well, the difference between living on the hill or living at...
more often than you could possibly imagine.
What's that?
I am on Bay Avenue almost every single day. So I welcome more business in town that brings more revenue into Highlands in a safe and responsible manner.
So the council is okay with the 5 people making the decision as opposed to the residents?
Elected. That's what the whole election process is about, letting us make decisions.
I just think something like this should be voted upon by the residents.
Democracy.
Excuse me?
You can't put everything to a direct election. Some things get put to the...
No, not everything. I'm talking about this kind of business.
You can't selectively choose
This
topics.
conversation is devolving.
Okay,
We can either take
So we're
it
not-
after the meeting.
So we're not going to be taking a vote. It's been decided.
No, because it's already been decided, and it's been decided a year and a half ago.
I understand that. I'm late to the movie. I understand that. Second point that I wanted to, it's a question. Someone had brought to my attention that the new municipal building that's being paid for by Sandy money, partly FEMA. Partly FEMA. How much is coming from FEMA to pay for that?
There has been no final determination yet.
Because I just don't know. I just
Yeah.
wonder.
You don't know because they haven't told us yet. As soon as
Oh.
we get the number, we're going to be shouting it from the rooftops.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
You got it. Go ahead.
Joseph Dorn, 102 Valley Avenue. I guess I have a question as to whether or not there's been any update on the 14 North Peak Street project, which is behind my house. Is there anybody that can speak to that at all?
Mr. Michelle,
I haven't heard anything, but I will call, I'll make some calls tomorrow to the construction official, and I'll see if we can reach out to Freehold Soil. and see, because we haven't heard anything either.
Okay,
I'll reach out to them and I'll give you a call, tell you what I found out.
okay. One other question for Mr. Ball. My lawyer said he's reached out to you, and he has not heard back from you again. I spoke to him this evening,
Who's your lawyer?
Ron Gazarovski.
He has not tried reaching out to me.
Wow, that's kind of crazy, because he told me 2 days ago that he had reached out to you and left a message at your office.
Not having.
He also said the same thing to me back in September. So I don't know why you're not getting the messages. I'll tell him tomorrow that you're not getting them. Okay? But he did tell me that he tried to reach you.
I have no messages from him. I
Okay.
check them fairly regularly.
Okay, it brings me to another question. As to the town's, I want to be careful how I describe this. The town's inability, in my opinion, to enforce the existing steep slope ordinance and to compel the builder, and it's the same builder as this young woman who complained about, Mr. Farku, as to why he's not being compelled to repair the damages that he's done to the property behind me, and which is affecting my property, not only my property value, but it's vulnerable to erosion. Even after Mr. Farku was told that he had violated the steep slope ordinance, and the engineer's report goes back to December of last year, in which that was stated, and again was reinforced in June. And I was here back in September complaining about that he was allowed to bring fill material into the site and raise the grade, even though he had no grading plans, no overall plans for the site, and he still doesn't. And that property can remain like that now for years, without it ever being developed or without him ever being compelled to repair the damages that he's done and to abide by the existing rules and regulations of the town. I don't think I'm asking for something that's unreasonable, and I just don't understand why the town, I'm using that word, for I can't really think of anything else to say, why the town is unwilling, in my view, to enforce existing ordinances. And I'm not asking for anything more than that. And it seems that I shouldn't have to go to a lawyer to have that done. The town should have the authority to do that. It's such an egregious violation. So the response is inadequate to the level of the violation. It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm very frustrated by that, and I'm just expressing it. I've been here before, and unfortunately, my lawyer is now better than he was. He's gotten over a few ailments, and I am going to speak to him tomorrow morning and find out why he's been unable to reach you, because he's told me that he's tried. And so I believe you. I believe it. I don't know why communication is not occurring. And there's just one other comment I want to make. And I'm not being critical of anybody. It just seems that the engineering department, the code enforcement department, and the building department have never been on the same page with regards to this 14 North Peach Street project. Because I have engineering reports here, which date back to December of last year, and it says that he's in violation. It states here, it's documented. And how he was able to continue to do what he's done, he hasn't done anything since I guess the Labor Day weekend. It's It's inactive right now. But I'm still vulnerable to erosion there. And, even getting him to put the silt fence up was a difficulty. But Mr. Farku is thumbing his nose at everybody in this town. Everybody. He's taking advantage of it. I don't want to go on and on, because I can't. It's not fair to you, it's very aggravating.
I have another issue. In 2022, earlier this year, the house next to me was sold, and in talking to the owner, he bought it as a, brief discussion, he bought it as a second home, a vacation home. Then he approached me and he said he's going to rent the property, and he's turned it into an Airbnb, and he stops by to cut the grass every couple of months, never lived there. And during the summer, it seemed to me that, 2 people would rent the place, and then 5, 6, 10 people would show up and live and stay in the house for 3 or 4 days. One time I saw 16 people come out of the house on a Saturday. I live on Shore Drive, and there's not adequate parking now, because a lot of the people across the way at the condos want to park on Shore Drive also. So now I'm having some issues with, not now, but during the summer, from May until September, strangers coming in and out of the house. 5, 6, 10 people. And so I just wondered if that's following the ordinance of an Airbnb where he's not living there at all.
I can tell you I did give this information for Mr. Montclave, I believe his name is, 237. I did give that information to the code enforcement official. And
Bill?
Bill is looking into it.
Yeah. Now, what Bill said to me was that the gentleman put his address, 237 Shore Drive, on his driver's license. So he said the issue is now dead, or according to your attorney, not to pursue it. Now, I don't know how this gentleman's forwarding his mail, but I can tell you, as his neighbor, from when he bought the house to today, which is like 9 months ago or 10, no one has lived there, other than, strangers and renters coming in and occupying the property. So I don't know whether that's part of the deal for Airbnbs or it's not. Does the resident have to live there?
In the ordinance, the resident has to live there, but if he is established with the state of New Jersey that is his residence, then it's out of our hands, as it's established with the state.
Okay. All right, so that was the question I had, because like I said, prior to this, people who owned the home as a vacation home, and they would come for 6 months out of the year, and they'd stay there. Now I'm seeing, nonstop people, different cars, different parking arrangements, so, all right, so if he's following the ordinance, then there's nothing you can do, I don't know. Okay.
Thank you, Rob.
Barbara Jennings, 247 Bay Avenue. Regarding an Airbnb, I have an Airbnb, I live there, I paid my $500 or $400 to register. As far as I know, there's probably only 4 or 5 of us that are registered in town, and there's a whole lot more people if you go look on Vrbo or Airbnb that are running Airbnbs. You have to live there, you have to keep an eye on things, there's rules, and they're supposed to be over 21, your renters are supposed to be over 21, and there's a limit to how many people you can have in that space. And I would ask that we do something about the people that are doing it illegally in town, maybe over the winter, because when the summer comes, there's going to be a lot more people coming in, and I've seen them all. There's a whole bunch of them in town, and I don't think everybody's registered. And I paid my money, and they have to pay theirs. And, okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I'm sorry I got here late, but from block 47, lot 10 that you're selling, it said that it was going to be sold for $53,000 as the opening bid.
That's the opening bid, that's the assessed value.
Well, my assessed value of my empty lot was $105,000 from 80. It went up from 80 to 105 for one lot. Is that really the assessed lot, 55,000?
I don't know, I can't
I mean,
answer
I
that
just want to
question.
make sure you get the right money, because
tax
that's
assessor
going to be a big problem.
I guess the question for your lot is a question for the tax assessor, but confirm that is the assessed value for this
Yeah.
lot for the current year.
Current-
That's what
the current assessed
it was
value.
set as.
But it's also going to be okay for somebody to put a 3-story building there, right? Because it's in the district. All right, I voted for it. And also about the cable, I came in late. It said that you guys had already had a meeting where Comcast was approved to be the cable company. I don't ever remember that. It said in the list.
This has been on, we've been working on this since 2019.
Tell me.
Okay? So literally, nobody at this table was sitting at the table except for me when this was, first talked about. Now, when we did to renew the cable license, Comcast was the only cable vendor, and a lot of people say, what about Dish? That's not cable. What about Fios? That's not cable. So it would have only been,
That's it.
Time Warner, what are they called these days? Optimum? Cablevision or Optimum or...
Fios would be considered
No,
now?
because it's not, it's completely different technology.
FiOS has a state
Yeah.
license, so it's
Yeah.
under a separate provision.
You know, we're stuck with them then, right?
Pretty much. But,
Sucks.
hey, you can always cut your cord like I did.
I know, but you still have to use the cable to get the internet in, right?
No.
Oh, well, I'll have to talk with you. All right, I guess that's it. I didn't see anything on the bills that was too crazy. We're going to be able to hopefully, when's the municipal building going to be done? Like by the summer?
Hopefully by the
So
summer.
we can get rid of using the Middletown, building people?
That needs, our contract is up at the end of 2023.
Okay. And then also, did we get any further with the recycling? I'm in the zone, I'm zone 3, so I had to wait 3 weeks to get them to pick up my recycles, because there was 3 Wednesdays in,
Like that
November.
month, yes.
So can't we do recycling every week? This is so crazy.
That's
Every other
something
week?
that Mr. Michelle was working on, and remember, you could always bring it to the yard if you want.
And we actually have to go out to bid, probably go out to bid sometime in January, February, because the contract is up. So that's going to be one of the provisions we'll put in there. And also with Bayshore, we did get some more information that they're accepting a lot more stuff to recycle, so hopefully that'll help too.
I don't have a problem with these guys. I wish we could have one of those big take everything times like we did last summer. Because I get paint cans and I have a whole big pile of stuff that's got to go to Shafto Road. So, I mean, I'll take everybody's stuff with me. We could do a whole big caravan of all our stuff down there.
That's a different issue.
Yeah, I know, but it's just a lot of stuff because you have to bring all that
Yes.
somewhere. All right, but please, if we could just do it once a week, you know? I had to wait 2 weeks through Thanksgiving to throw all my bottles out. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're closing public session. Executive session. Executive session will be following the regular council meeting. Prior to each executive session, the Borough Council will convene an open session, at which time a resolution will be adopted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-13. No formal action will be taken during executive session. Be it resolved that the following portion of this meeting shall not be open to the public. Be it further resolved that private consideration is deemed required and is permitted because of the following noted exceptions set forth in the Act: collective bargaining, CWA contracts, attorney-client privilege, mercantile licenses. Be it further resolved that it is anticipated that the matters to be considered in private may be disclosed to the public at a later date when the need for privacy no longer exists.
I'll offer.
Councilmember Cervantes? Councilmember Chirac?
Yes.
Councilmember Melvin?
Yes.
Council President Oshetsky?
Yes.
Mayor Brian?
Yes.
Motion carries to enter executive session at 8:05.
Oh, me, whoever.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye,
Motion, meeting adjourned at 8:39. Thank you, everyone.
Highlands Uncensored,
Right, right.
any other Highlands?